All right, guys. Good morning. As you can see in the chat, sorry for the late start. I was just we were just having some lively discussion with our community class. So most of you might still be here, so you know. Just remind me if we did quality management last week, or quality improvement in healthcare, or we did primary healthcare last week. Confirm for me which one we did last week, so I'll know which one we're doing the review on, because we only have one more lecture to do, which is self-management support. So I wanted to know which lecture I need to review before we start. Was it quality improvement in healthcare, or was quality improvement? Oh, hi Marie. Quality. Okay, so let's review that. So we did primary healthcare two weeks ago, then 3 weeks ago. Hi Dylan. We did quality. Okay, so let's just review quality here again. So I'm assuming we did primary healthcare already, right? We did primary healthcare several weeks back. Yes? Yeah? Okay. Oh, hi, Karina. All right. So let's go. Let me pull up that quality lecture. Right. So the good news is that we have one more lecture to complete in teaching for this course. So therefore, next week, hopefully I can get your first in-course assignment completed. In grading primary healthcare was on the 29th of September. Okay. All right. So hopefully, I can have your first in-course assignment graded, so we can discuss it next week. Because if I do get the opportunity, I will finish today with self-care management in the public healthcare setting. All right. So let's review quality. You all remember stuff from quality? What do you all remember from quality? Before I go through, you all tell me. What are some things you remember from the quality lecture? And don't go scrolling through now the lecture. Tell me off the top of your mind, so it's going to help. It's going to help with your neurons in your brain about quality. What do you just call out? Call out some random things that you remember from the quality lecture. It could be a person, it could be a comparison. What did you remember about quality in the lecture? Deming, okay, Marie, okay, yes, Deming is one of the gurus of quality of quality. Marie, Dylan, I hope you don't mind. I'll pick on you all because you're all not in the community class, so that's why I just giving you an opportunity to chat. Dylan, anything? Karina, what you all remember from quality? Quality, what is quality? Gavin, the cycle. What the cycle? What's the cycle, Marie? What's the cycle? Plan, do, check, act cycle. Yes, plan, do, check, act cycle. And there was an augmentation of the plan, do, check, act cycle. And I believe it was Deming. Marie, it was Deming who spoke about who did the alteration of the plan, do, check, act cycle. And he said he changed it to, or he adjusted it to PSC. No, the PDCA is the plan. Yeah, the DMAIC process, the define, measure, analyze, improve, control. That's the DMAIC alteration of the PDCA cycle. So yeah, so good. So you all did remember some stuff. Great, great, great. Good going. So let's get into it. Let's get into the review. So quality, um, healthcare. Well, we defined healthcare. is as a system that a nation has built up to continuously combat death, disease, disability, disaffection, and social disruption. Healthcare is a collection of curative, preventative, rehabilitative, and promotive services. Healthcare is a social and economic endeavor encompassing activities by providers, consumers, financiers, government, and their respective value systems. So we looked at some issues in healthcare today. We spoke about avoidable errors. We spoke about underutilization of services. And can anyone remember what we said about the underutilization of services and how it can apply to pharmacists, especially in this pandemic? Can anyone remember? And it's actually tied into as well avoidable errors, overuse of services. Pharmacists can play a role in this. Pharmacists are trained. What did we say? To be more willing. So we so yeah, it's along those lines, Samantha. See, um, we want I was talking about the role that pharmacists can play in the public healthcare and the private healthcare system, especially in this pandemic time. It's now is the best time more than any, if there was the political will, if there was the management will to incorporate and utilize our services to help have avoidable errors on our wards and in our hospitals, and to help with underutilization of our service, whether be it for education, whether be it for vaccination, whether be it for screening, whether be it for patient monitoring. There's so many things that pharmacists can do beyond sitting in their dispensary and and putting out their label and telling the patient what to do. We have so much more that we can do beyond that. And I mentioned the FIP statutes, and Shakila mentioned it this morning as well in community about pharmacists being able to prescribe, as is seen internationally now that pharmacists do have the requisite training to be able to um, treat certain ailments, and we are being held back by an archaic and an old law. So understand that and appreciate that you, as pharmacists, you can be used to help with the situation today. Communication problems, lack of evidence, dissatisfied clients, quality can fix this. And then we talk about terms such as quality assurance, TQM, and continuous quality improvement. TQM is total quality management, and is the newest organizational approach and newest organizational tool that that is used that is used to ensure that the best possible quality service and product is given. Continuous quality improvement is, not, is another is a can lead. Continuous quality improvement leads into total quality management. And then we spoke about people like Gavin in 1987, who was one of the earlier leaders with quality, talking about performance, reliability, durability, serviceability, aesthetics, features, perceived quality, conformance to standards. We looked at what quality means in different industries, in the airline industry, in the healthcare industry, in the food industry, in the military, in automotive, in communications. So you had an appreciation for what quality meant in these different industries. And then we went on to, look to define what quality is. And Crosby said it's conformance to requirements. Duran said it's fitness for purpose. Mike Robinson says meeting the stated requirements of the customer now and in the future. Deming spoke about a predictable degree of uniformity and dependability at low cost suited to the market. So there are several different um, uh, definitions or statements on quality based on the different persons who were leaders in quality in those times. We talk about ISO, the International Standards Organization, which is an international organization, as it says, that would provide measurements for a product or a service to be in line with a particular standard. So we had some definitions of quality to be excellence, to be quantity of products produced in the manufacturing sector as well, in user-based definition, fitness for purpose, meeting or exceeding expectations of the customer, value-based definitions of quality, quality versus price, manufacturer-based definitions of quality, conformance to standards. And we spoke about it costing less to prevent a problem than it does to correct a problem. Quality influences your relationship with customers and influences how complaints are dealt with. Now, I remember us talking about a complaint from a customer or feedback from a customer, whether be it good or bad, should always be viewed as good. I hope you all remember this. Feedback from your customers, whether be it good or bad, should always be viewed as good, because why should it be viewed as good? Someone tell me. Why should feedback from your customers be always seen as good? Whether it's a complaint or compliment. Why? That's right. That's right. It gives you an opportunity to improve. Marie, there's always room for improvement. Gives you a chance to better yourself. Yes, Marie. Yes, Karina. Yes, Samantha C. Complaints gives you, the service provider, an opportunity to look at it from the perspective of a customer if it wasn't done already. And you get a unique perspective from this person to say, well, I had this experience, or this product didn't do this, or this product did that. It gives you an opportunity to improve, which ties into the notion that we said earlier in the lecture, continuous quality improvement, which feeds into total quality management. So all complaints, all compliments must be looked at equally as something that is good, something that is constructive. And Mr. William Cooper Proctor, and I suspect he may have been the one of the founding owners of Procter and Gamble, which is a product company that sells everything from Pringles to I believe they do sprays as well. So Procter and Gamble is a manufacturing firm, and he said the first job we have to do is turn out quality merchandise that customers will buy and keep on buying. And if we produce it efficiently and economically, we will turn a profit. Now, the merchandise that we're talking about for the purpose of this class, which is institutional pharmacy management, could be a product that is institutional based, whether be it for profit or not for profit. You have a product, and I'm using the term from the class just an hour ago, which produces an experience. So it might be a product, yes, it might be an excellent equipment. It's an excellent hold on 1 minute, right? So you have something that's beyond an excellent machine, right? But you also want a high quality experience with the persons who put you through the machine. You may have an excellent CT scanner, but the radiographer, the radiologist, the persons who carry you to it and who take you from it, all of those are experiences that you want to have high quality of, so that you can now produce that high quality product, service, or merchandise efficiently and economically, and then customers will keep buying, and you'll turn a profit. And then we looked at the historical context of quality methodology, And we looked at the Roman Empire, the Industrial Revolution. Statistical methods started to come into place with Bell Laboratories, the World Wars, and how the World Wars influenced quality. The World Wars taught us a lot about quality, and you see quality now moving from statistical quality control, or what we commonly referred to long ago as QC, into now quality assurance, QA, and now quality management. So you have a transition. You have a transition. You have a transition from QC to QA to QM. QC, QA to QM. So quality improvement is a formal approach to the analysis of performance and systematic efforts to improve it. Quality improvement is different to quality assurance. And you see here on slide number 19, the comparison of what improvement is versus what assurance is. So quality improvement is a management-based application. Quality assurance is a statistical-based approach to quality. And then we had Deming's 14 principles of quality: constancy of purpose, the new philosophy, ceasing dependence on inspection for quality, looking at price alone we need to stop that, improving the process constantly and forever, training, training, adopt and institute good leadership, driving out fear, removing barriers between staff areas, removing slogans, numerical quotas. So Deming had 14 principles that looked at quality. So quality does not occur by accident. It must look at what the customer actually wants and what the customer needs, and how do you go about achieving it. And then we had the plan, do, check, act cycle. The plan, do, check, act cycle, which was intended to influence how quality is done. So you plan, you set about your plan, you get your objectives, and then you go ahead implementing the plan, you execute on the plan, you study how the plan worked, and then you act on changes and see how it can be improved, how it can be adjusted, and then you cycle again. So the plan, do, check, act cycle was then augmented into the define, measure, analyze, control, improve, control cycle, which is the DMAIC process. And that essentially was, and the DMAIC process also used a system approach of the input, processes, and outputs. And that there was your review of quality. Do we have any questions on the quality? Do we have any questions or queries on quality before we move on? All right, so let's get into the other lecture, self-management support. So self-management support, if you take a look at we're looking at the first slide number 2, and it's the outcome that we want. We want the chronic care model to transition into where the patient takes a lot more control over their health. And this is where self-management support comes in. So the community has resources and policies. Your health system will have a health organization. In some cases, would be your health center or your health clinic. There's clinical information systems available. There's decision support available. There's delivery system available. All feed into that transaction there, as you see on slide number 2, where you have an informed, activated patient having productive interactions with a prepared, proactive practice team. So you see arrows going both directions because you want interactions. You want two-way communication to get overall improved outcomes. So two-way communicate. Okay, Marie. Okay, yeah, good. You want two-way communication between your activated and informed patient and your practice team, your healthcare professionals, which includes yourself. And now having that two-way communication, that proactive discussion, so that the patient can now take control of their health. So self-management support emphasizes the patient's central role in managing their illness. And we have all understood as healthcare professionals that the patient is at the center of the team, right? So we talk about the patient being the center of the team. However, the communication has always been every part of the team communicating to the patient. Now we are opening that communication to it being two ways. The communication is now interacting with his doctor. The patient is now interacting with his pharmacist, his nurse, his dietitian, his physiotherapist. All of them, all of them are part of the team where they assess the patient's behavior, knowledge, etc. So, and they also advising. So, self-management is the ability of the patient to manage the individual's ability to manage symptoms, treat physical, social consequences, and lifestyle changes inherent with living with a chronic condition. Right. So we are looking for a transition. We're on slide number 7. We are looking for a transition from patient education to self-management support. And we'll take a look here and you will see points where patient education is usually didactic. Patient education is um, patient education is usually you speaking to the individual. The goal in patient education is compliance, and I'm sure some of you will still have a sense of appreciation that we all want our patients to be compliant. But the goal in self-management support is increased self-efficacy. And there is a particular type of ailment, a chronic disease ailment, that has been perhaps one of the earlier ones that were encouraging self-management support. Can you all think of the example that I'm thinking of that would have been an early leader in self-management support? It's a chronic disease and it requires patients to be titrating their doses based on testing. That's the hint. Can you all figure which one this is I'm speaking about? That would have been one of the earlier attempts at self-management support. Diabetes mellitus, correct, Marie? Diabetes mellitus, especially type 1, where we are encouraging the patient to, yes, Dylan, where we are encouraging the patient to test regularly and test frequently. And that now going to now going to put the patient in a position to self monitor and manage and treat. And and this is a nice this can be a nice question for your final exams. I shouldn't let the cat out of the bag. But as we're speaking about testing, patients in Trinidad and Tobago, all diabetic patients in Trinidad and Tobago, especially type 1, now have access to easier testing. They have access to easier testing through the CDAP program that provides free blood glucose monitoring machines and free strips for all patients within the program who qualify for such. I know initially it was for type 1 diabetics, and I think they have moved it to now all diabetics um, should be qualified to receive a testing kit. And by doing that, you are now going to encourage and improve the outcomes of patients because you're encouraging them to now take control of their health, take control of their status. So patient education, information, and skills are taught. Self-management support skills to solve patient problems are identified and taught. Things patient education is disease specific, and in self-management support, your skills are generalizable. So self-management support is not didactic patient education. It's not the sage on the stage. And the sage on the stage simply is what we have been familiar with is patients going to a room and there's one person on the stage talking about a disease state and they listen and they take all the advice and they may ask a few questions in the end. Self-management support is not that. Self-management support is a lot more intimate, a lot more interactive, a lot more one-on-one, a lot more empowering. And remind me what empowering is about. Students, tell me what empowering means. What does empowering mean, guys? What's empowering about? Empowering students, empowering, providing persons with all the information that correct to make your own decision. Empowering means you are now taking control of your life, of your decision making. Provide, right. So we, yes, Sarah, as the medical professionals, we have to provide the enabling environment to empower themselves, to, as Sabrina said, facilitate them making the right decisions for their illness. Self-management support is not finger wagging. Self-management support is not saying you should. Self-management support is more about agreeing upon something. Self-management support is not lecturing. Self-management support, self-management support is not. Just 1 minute there, right? Self management support is not waiting for patients to ask for help. So why is self-management so important and what is different? Because the clinical outcomes are dependent on patient actions. Patients' self-management is inevitable. The role of the provider is to partner with the patient, and as future professionals in the medical field, whether it be institutional or um, whether it be institutional or community or otherwise, you have to understand your role in partnering with the patients, partnering with the patients to ensure that they get the best out of their medication, they get the best out of their lifestyle adjustments. Now, the whole purpose of this lecture, guys, is self-management support. Is now talking with the patient and encouraging the patient and helping the patient along, taking control of their chronic disease state. Self-management is to take care of the illness, to carry out normal activities, and manage emotional changes. Now, team, emotional changes is something that you all might take for granted, but you all may be young and may not be afflicted by any disease state right now. But the reality is that we all are going to get old, and we all are going to get affected and afflicted by disease. And for some persons, upon getting diagnosed, it's at times very difficult for them. It's emotionally challenging for them to accept, let's just say, a fit person, someone who may have been eating well, and but they have a strong genetic correlation with diabetes and they do develop diabetes. That's going to be emotional for them. A young person, or let's just say another person who is fit and who is in the gym and who thinks that they are healthy, has developed clots in their legs, maybe because of the supplements that they've been taking, maybe because of the type of job that they do, which is a sedentary job, which is a job that doesn't have any walking. Some persons who develop high blood pressure. High blood pressure, team, is one of the most difficult things that people have to come to terms with. You know why? Why is high blood pressure very difficult to treat and manage? Why is high blood pressure a real challenge to treat and manage, and a real difficult thing for persons to accept? Can you all help me? For those of for you all have the clinical knowledge about high blood pressure, why is it at times very difficult for patients to come to terms with high blood pressure? Anybody? Why is, guys, ladies and gents, why is high blood pressure one of the most difficult things for persons to come to terms with, or presents a challenge for persons to come to terms with? Which is why we still have so much, as we say, non-compliance with high blood pressure medication and high blood pressure issues. Come on, come on, come on. You all are intelligent enough to figure this out. Because Marie, very good. That's right. That's right. That's right, girls. Yes, correct. High blood pressure, because there are no signs or there are no symptoms unless it's very late already. Karishma, because the standard reference. Karishma, you're talking about something a little controversial here. Yes, the the standard for measuring blood pressure and what ought to be treated, the information, although it should be widely available to all members of the medical profession, yes, you do have variances in BP values. So you still have some doctors and some nurses and even some pharmacists as well saying 140 over 85 and 90, good, that's good. You're okay, you're good. No, the answer to that is no. The correct thing is no. Anything above 120, anything above 80 ought to be treated. It's no longer pre-hypertension. They are classifying it as stage one. And because you don't experience any symptoms with high blood pressure, you think you're fine. And you go into denial. And that denial is a serious emotional response to something traumatic. All right, the same denial occurs when you have a tragedy in the family or when you are dealing with something very, very depressing. Denial is part of it. So I'm saying this to impress upon you. Self management includes managing the emotional responses, emphasizing the patient's role. The patient must be informed, must be must appreciate from the time they get diagnosed to when they leave your pharmacy department or when they leave your dietitian department or when they leave your organization, they must be leaving with the sense of I am in control. They must leave with the sense of we are in control. We meaning myself as the patient and you guys, the team, as the healthcare professional. Collaborative care. The patient must not leave should not be leaving your organization, must not be leaving your clinic, must not be leaving your pharmacy department thinking, all right, well, yeah, well, them know what they're doing, they're handling me. I'm putting my trust in all your hands. We have been moving away from that. The patient must be emphasized of his or her role in his illness or her illness, emphasizing the patient's role. Collaborative care. How do we go about emphasizing the patient's role? Simple messages from the primary care provider. And remember, you all are primary care providers. You all are primary care providers. Remember, there's primary care, there's secondary care, there's tertiary care. And you all are primary healthcare providers, providing simple messages. And I want to remind all of you, for those of you who want to remain steadfast with your core qualifications as a pharmacist and not venture off too much into management, but if you remain as a pharmacist and you remain as a professional in the pharmacy, um, in pharmacy, one of your major roles, whether it be community or whether it be public, is education. And the pharmacist generally is that person who is skilled enough to explain an issue to a patient in the simplest of manners. So pharmacists ought to be knowledgeable, but must be able to communicate in the simplest of ways accurately. Don't take the cop out and try to explain something simply, but you're saying the wrong things. I'm saying say the right things, say the correct things in as simple as manner as is possible. Okay? So your role as giving simple messages is very, very important. Be consistent in your approach. Be culturally and linguistically appropriate. And linguistically, how does that apply to us right now? How does being culturally and linguistically appropriate apply to us right now? Now more so than ever. Now more so than ever. How do these things apply? Okay, if you can't figure it out, how can being culturally and linguistically appropriate apply even before we had um, the Venezuelans? Yes. Look how Marie put it there. The Venezuelans, dot, 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 dot. Marie, what do you mean? Entertaining, yes. The Venezuelans. Yes, Chelsea, the Venezuelans. And I was about to say, before the Venezuelans, before we had immigrants in in our community that are all over. You have to look at the different communities in your country that have a certain demographic background. There would be certain communities that have a certain ethnicity. There may be certain communities that have a certain religious orientation. There may be certain communities that speak in a certain manner. All of these things are important in how you help to emphasize the patient's role and how you communicate with the patient. All right? So that is being culturally and linguistically appropriate. And before we get into the balance of the slides, let's go for the break. And when we come back, we'll finish it. All right? So let's go for the break now, and we shall continue on. We have reached slide number 14. So we're gonna run through the other slides when we come back from the break. Okay? So we'll take the break now and come back. We'll return at 11:25. All right, so return at 11:25.